Hello and welcome to this EmpowerDB administrator training video. In this video, we'll be focusing on the features and sections of the database that only site administrators have access to. Even if you are a site administrator, we do recommend watching the general training video prior to watching this video, as that will give you an understanding of the basic functionality of the database. Okay, so let's start with something very important for all site administrators to understand, and that is access points. Access points are a second layer of security for your database. So on top of having to log in using your username and password, you will also need to create an access point for each device that you will access EmpowerDB from. The purpose of this is because your data is stored in an encrypted format. If you don't have the access point on your computer, there's no way for your computer to understand what it is that you're seeing. We've set that up as an additional layer of security because just in case anyone was able to gain access to someone's username and password, they still wouldn't be able to access the database unless they had an access point approved. Okay, so there's a couple of different ways that you can have an access point approved. I'm using the demo site, so you'll see this option here, take a shortcut, let me see the demo. That obviously doesn't apply here, but you will be able to send an approve request to a database administrator or manually enter the organization's encryption key. As you are a database administrator, the first time that you access EmpowerDB from any device, you'll probably be accessing your organization's encryption key. That is a 16-character key that is automatically generated when you go through your initial setup process. You need to make sure that you copy that key down very carefully onto the form that Stephen has provided and keep it in a locked filing cabinet. You could potentially also store it in an actual password manager on your computer. Please do not store your encryption key in a Word document on your computer or anything like that. And similarly, please do not share your encryption key via email, as this is not a secure way to share this kind of information. Okay, so what I would do is click on here and just choose my computer name. I'm going to say this is Francis's laptop because I'm accessing from a laptop computer. This is just going to give me the ability to have a look at a list of access points and see which ones are still being used and which ones aren't. So it's important that you can identify which access point is for which device. Then I'm going to enter my encryption key. As this is the demo site, it's only 4 characters, but for your site, it would be 16 characters long. So once I'm done that, I should be able to just access EmpowerDB using my username and password, and it will take me to the home page. Great. Okay, so something else that you're going to be responsible for as a database administrator is approving other people's access point requests when they come in. So what other staff members will do is they'll typically send an approval request to a database administrator. They'll have to go through the same process and say which computer, which device they're accessing from, what kind of device it is, and they will have been told to get their admin ready, so to let you know that they're going to be requesting this approval, because from the moment they click submit request here, you will only have 60 seconds in order to confirm that request. Okay, so it's quite important to let your staff know that they need to let you know about it before and make sure that you're online, because otherwise it can be quite frantic if they just let you know as soon as they've clicked that button that you need to find a computer, log on, access EmpowerDB, and approve their request within 1 minute. Okay, so let's click on here. We can see the countdown started. We've got 57 seconds. When I come to the home page, if I just refresh my home page, I should see, great, Francis's laptop, personal laptop, great, this is the request that I just made. And to be able to approve this, you need to enter your own password. So not the encryption key, the password that you use to log on to EmpowerDB. Great, that access point has now been approved, and that user will be able to access the database using their username and password next time they log on. Okay, so now that we're all logged on and we've had our access points created, we're in EmpowerDB. We're going to take a look at some of the important sections on the right here underneath links on your homepage. I'm using a demo site to record this video, so the structure and the content might look a bit different to your own site, but the general layout and where you find things is going to be the same, and the powers that you have as a site admin are going to be the same across the board. So the first thing I want to have a look at is the database documentation. So under database documentation, you'll have access to this section that is called Database Administration. No one other than site administrators has access to this section of database documentation. If you click on this folder, you'll see we have lots and lots of help files that are related to database admin type activities, and you can pretty much find the answer to most of your questions in this section. So at the top, you've got this video, a link to this video. You've got some information about why someone might be having an issue with an access point. That's quite a common problem that we come across. And you come down to the section called Editing Variables and Structures. You, as a site admin, are able to make changes to your database, which is a really great feature of EmpowerDB, because as you're going along, if you realise you need to add a new option to a drop-down list, or you need to add a new field, maybe one of your funders need you to start collecting some piece of information that you don't currently collect. If you learn how to do these things yourselves, then you don't need to request those from us, and your annual charges are going to be minimal. So we really encourage you to go ahead and kind of check out this section and make sure that you're able to do all those things. These are all going to be quick videos that show you how to do certain things. So if you click on adding new variables, this is going to take you to a video and a help file, just taking you through step by step what you can do there. Okay, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about that, because that's something that you can have a look at and let us know if you have any questions. But I do want to just draw attention to the fact that you can actually add new articles and add new folders to this section, database documentation. So if you find that there's something that your staff are struggling with frequently, or if there's something that's very specific to your organisation, maybe something to do with reporting, whatever it may be, if you add a new article, this is only going to be visible for your site. And you can actually set the visibility of each article that you add for different staff members. Okay, so the next thing I want to have a look at here is how to add and edit user accounts. So this is going to be in staff list here. Just want to click on this staff list section. And you can see here, as a site admin, you'll see the names of all of the users. You can see whether they're active or inactive. If you click on their profile, you can also see their details of their first name and last name. You can see their permission level. You can edit their permission level. If you'd like further information about different permission levels, you can click on this help file here, which will explain the different levels of permission that different staff members have in the database. And here you can grant or revoke access to each individual program on a per user basis. You can also select if one staff member is supervising another. You might see lots more more complicated settings there, often to do with your funder reports, but I won't worry about that too much for this video. Here you can also set and change passwords for all staff members. Regular staff members don't have the ability to change their own passwords. That is deliberate because Stephen, in his experience, has found that people often don't choose the best passwords in the world when they're left to do it themselves. So he's given that responsibility only to site admins. If you have a look at this help file, we'll give you some tips on what to do in order to choose a secure password. Something that is very important when you're thinking about the type of information that you're storing in your database here. Okay, so come back to this staff list. Let's have a look. What we can do here is add a new staff. So that's going to be at the top on this Add New Staff button. To add a new member of staff, simply go through, complete these fields. So you'll need their first name, last name, username, can set a password for them. You need to set their permission level. Great, and you may have some further settings, or you may have a much more simplified structure than the one that we see here. Great, now I would like to draw your attention to a section of the database that is called Database Administration, which again is something that only database administrators will have access to. So you've got lots of different sections here. You've got security, data management, activities management, client management, user settings, and database settings. So first of all, under security, you have the option here to view your encryption key. This is something that you can ask us to show to you. So it's not automatically set up so that you can see it here. You can verify it usually, but we can flip a special switch that lets you view your encryption key. If you think that you may have misplaced the document that you've written it down on, let us know ASAP, because you'll be able to do that whilst you still have access to the database. But were you to lose access to the database, we don't have your encryption key. We do not have access to it, so we will not be able to show it to you. Okay, the next section that we come to here is approved access points. So as I was saying earlier, we ask you to provide a name for the device that you're connecting from, and it's often useful to include the name of the person who's requesting it, just so that you can keep a track of where all of your access points are. So perhaps we have a laptop computer that someone has unfortunately had stolen. All I would do here is I'd come in and I'd say, that was Fran's computer and it got stolen. I definitely don't want anyone to access EmpowerDB from there. I can just delete this, and then their access is completely removed and there's no way they could access the database without going through the process that we just went through at the beginning here. So you can also see the date that the access point was added, the date it was last used, and who it was last used by. After approved access points, you'll also see approved connections. This is a different feature to the access points. This is an additional layer of security. And what that means is each IP address that someone is trying to connect from will need to be individually approved. So if you change your computer network in your office, you'll have to go through and approve this again. If you've got a different internet connection, obviously if someone's working from a laptop and they're working from home and changing location, but they're not changing device, they would have to have each different internet connection that they'd like to connect from approved. So it does provide a lot more security from that point of view. Okay, great. Now we come to the data management section of the database. So this is where you can actually modify the structure of the database itself. So if I look at programs, I can view and edit my list of database programs. If I click on any of the program names, I can edit certain things relating to that program. I can change what intake form they use, for example. I won't go into too much detail about this because we've made some other help files and quick videos to explain those settings. You can see your list of information pages here, and you can see which programs are able to see which page. The same for the points in time. If you just have a look here, you can see the full list of the points in time that exist in your database and which programs have access to them. And similarly, if you click on any of their names, you can make changes to them from there. Now we come to activities management. I'm just going to have a look at service types, but what I'm going to explain would apply in a very similar way to any of the other activity types listed underneath activities management. So if I click on service types, here I will see a complete list of all of the different types of services that exist in the database. Okay, so this corresponds to the lists of services that I see on my home page here. Any service that's listed as an active service will appear on this list here. So here I am. If something's set as inactive, that means that historical records still exist in the database for those services, for example, medical advocacy, but that will not appear on the drop-down list on the home page, and I will not be able to record any services of that type. So you see the service name, and you'll see who it's visible for, and then you can also see what this is set to convert to for all of your different funder reports. If I click on civil legal advocacy, I can see that this service is currently only visible for staff in the legal advocacy programme. I can restrict the visibility to users in a certain programme, users in a certain group, who have a certain permission level, or I can actually just add individual users one at a time, for example, like that. Here I can also select what I would like this service to convert to for my different funder reports. So for the OVW THA report, what would I like this to convert to? I'm going to call this Civil Legal Advocacy. And I'm just going to click Save at the bottom here. And when I go back here, I can see that it's now showing as Civil Legal Advocacy Court Accompaniment. And this is visible for users in the Legal Advocacy Programme and the demo user. Okay, so that's your activity types. Let's just scroll down to Client Management. And something important I can do here is check for duplicates. So if I click on here, I can set the parameters to provide a list of potential duplicates. So here you can decide what comparison tolerance you're interested in. So it's set here to somewhat similar. I could reduce this and say I'd like to see them if they're just barely similar. Or I could look for exact matches only. Somewhat similar is usually quite a good setting to leave that as. And this is based currently on just the first and last name, which is the primary name index, but you can also change that. I won't go into too much detail here, but please let us know if you have any questions about that. I have 2 clients with the same name. Let's click Begin Merge. And this will take us to a screen where I can review the existing data for both clients and make sure that I've selected the correct information to keep for this one client when they are merged together. So here, there's only one name, there's only one first name and one last name as they're identical, so that's fine. I can keep both of their programs. So one of these clients is enrolled in 3 programs and one is only enrolled in 1. So when they're merged together, they will be enrolled into all 3. And I can just scroll down here and check if conflicting information exists between the 2 clients. I can select the piece of information that I think is correct. Continue scrolling down, make sure that I've selected an entry for each of these. And I'm going to merge those 2 clients together. Okay, so now this one client just exists as one client in the database and all that information has been merged. I might also see 2 clients that I know are different clients, but they do appear in this list. So Sarah Smith and Mary Smith, they are probably not the same person, so I'm going to exclude them from this list. Okay. And let's just have one final look at database settings. So the only thing we're going to have a look at here is just the general settings section. In the general settings section, you can see what time zone your organisation is set to. So if you have a look here and you believe that your time zone is not correct, please do let us know about that. Another important setting here is the session timeout. So this is the number of minutes that will pass if someone is logged into the database on their computer, but they're not actively using it until they are logged out automatically. So here it's set to 10 minutes. You can decide what will be the most appropriate setting for your organisation. The invoice notification section is really, really important that you're aware of this, because when we initially set you up, we put the name of the site admins that we've been working with, the contact information of the site admins that we've been working with here, to get notified of any invoices that are generated in the database. But with staff turnover, sometimes these contact details will go out of date. So what you'll need to do is, if one of your site admins leaves, please make sure to update this section with the email address of the person who's come to take their place. And finally, I just wanted to draw your attention to the admin message board. It's quite important that you sign up for the admin message board so that you don't miss any important announcements from us. And you can choose whether you'd like to see new message reminders or not see them. You can opt out, but I will reiterate that you could miss some important information if you did do that. Okay, great. So that's database administration. If we come back to the home page, I just want to show you briefly how to access database support. If you click on database support, you will be taken to this video introduction that Stephen has created to explain why we need to ask you for certain pieces of information and why everything is set up in the way that it is set up. So I strongly advise you all to watch that. When you want to contact us, a really important thing to think about is if you've contacted us about a similar item in the past. So if you already have a topic about your HUD report in your database, you should just click on this existing topic and then send us a new message relating to the same report. Okay, that really helps us to keep track of all of the information related to the same issue in one place. It can get quite confusing if we have lots and lots of different messages in your inbox that all relate to your HUD report. If it's a completely new issue that you'd like to contact us about, you can click Add New Topic here. And you will have to go through and select the category that best matches the issue that you're having. So sometimes what will happen is if you click on the funder reports, you will be told that you have to enter a specific type of link. And if it's not the correct link, it won't let you send us this support ticket. We know that this can be a little frustrating for you, but it's extremely important for us so that we know that we're all looking at the same thing. So when you refer to a funder report, we need to know exactly which report you're looking at, what time frame it's for, what program it's for, what contract. The quickest way for us to have that information is if you send us a link to it. And then the more information you can include in your explanation of the issue, the quicker and easier it will be to get that sorted out for you. Okay, so that's just a quick overview of database support. Another thing that you can find in your database support section is this billing and invoices section here. So you can see the date an invoice was issued, how much it was for, and whether or not it's been paid. If it has been paid, you'll see a date that it was paid here. If you click on the date of the invoice, this will also take you to information which will explain exactly what the charge was for. So this might be a funder report, this might be some database assistance that we've provided. So they're all on there. And finally, on your homepage, you just have a couple more links at the bottom. So you've got access to internal message boards here, admin message boards. You can see if you've got any unread messages by this little exclamation mark that's next to that. Because I'm actually using the demo site to create this video, I also have another link which takes me to Resource Connect. Resource Connect is a secure chat service that we have developed. Many organisations that use EmpowerDB also use Resource Connect to manage kind of web chat and SMS chat hotlines. If you'd like to know any more about that, you can go to resourceconnect.com or feel free to just send us a message and we'll provide more information to you. Great, well I hope you've enjoyed watching this and that it's been helpful. Thank you.